What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Kettlehead Brewing Company, and they're headquartered in Tilton, New Hampshire, and this is their Moon Rover. So this is a double IPA that comes in at 8% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. And this can is approximately 1 month old. I'm going to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to Jim from Kettlehead for this beer. So big thanks to him. I recently attended the 2025 Rochester Real Beer Expo in Rochester, New York at Innovative Field. And for the third straight year, Jim and Kettlehead were pouring their beers. And I also attended with a couple of very good friends of mine, fellow beer tubers, Dan and Mike, over at FLX Beer Reviews. And throughout the course of the night, we chatted with Jim on and off along with his lovely wife. We had a fantastic time. It's an awesome festival. I cannot recommend it enough. And then after the festival, Jim sent Dan, Mike, and myself home with a bunch of Kettlehead beer. I brought home 3 different offerings, and this is the first of the 3 that I'm reviewing, and it's the only hop-forward beer, so I'm really looking forward to it. I can't remember if I had a pour of this at the fest or not. I don't think I did, so even if I did, things were hazy. Things were hazy. I drank a lot of beer that night, so I don't remember much, but huge thanks to Jim for these cans. I can't wait to get into them. And this one is an interesting one because I believe this is using all Galaxy hops, or at the very least showcasing Galaxy hops, because on both Instagram and Untappd it says all Galaxy all day. Now, if you are a huge craft beer enthusiast, you know that Galaxy over the past like 3 or 4 years has fallen off quite a bit. A lot of breweries not using it. Some of the beers recently I've had with Galaxy have been better, but a couple years ago, there were some that were just, the beer wasn't good, and it was probably the Galaxy hop. So hoping that Galaxy is back on its bullshit and that this is delicious. Also, Jim gave me a pint glass. This is a Kettlehead pint glass. Now, if you guys follow the channel, you know I really don't use pint glasses on my channel unless I'm doing like a Macro Monday review. However, this is hashtag proper glassware. Jim gave it to me. We're using it for the Kettlehead beers. No questions asked. All right, so let's crack this one open, get in the glass, see what we got going on here. So I'm really stoked. I just hope this is quite tasty, so let's give it a pour. So, you know, it's Kettlehead. It's hazy. That's how it's going to be. Do something like that. Beautiful looking pour. Throw this over here. Moon Rover, you know, Galaxy hops. It all makes sense. So how does that look in the hashtag proper glassware? That looks like deliciousness in the glass, we're being honest. Look at that. Beautiful. So it has this like hazy orange color, 2 fingers of a off-white colored head. I would say that if you're looking for a hazy, looks pretty nice. A lot of folks like that super milky, like yellow color nowadays. This is like old school haze look to me. This is what it should look like. Murky, turbid, hazy orange, 2 fingers of an off-white, somewhat creamy and soap sudsy looking head. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. If you want to see the beer better from the other side, yeah, I mean, that's typical haze, right? I'm here for it. So anyway, oh yeah, wow, that smells awesome. So like I said, about a month old. I'm doing this review about a little less than a week after the festival. Yeah, this smells awesome. So old school Galaxy hops to me used to provide huge crushed pineapple, lots of pineapple. It was more like a dank pineapple. This, definite sweet pineapple, sweet crushed pineapple, peach, then an explosion of citrus fruit, a lot of sweet, juicy orange, mandarin orange, tangerine, dare I say tangelo. It has this nice, like, dank, kind of earthy grassiness, too. Yeah, so a lot of crushed pineapple, nice overripened peach, some sweeter, juicier orange, and citrus fruit as a whole. You could say tangerine, you know, tangelo, the whole 9. Can't smell that it's 8%. Yeah, this smells really nice. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Jim. You know what this is? It's a good hazy double IPA. That's what it is. And I'm here for it. Now, I will say that the nose gave more of an indication of that like crushed, perhaps sweeter pineapple, over-ripened peach, the citrus character, very juicy. The taste isn't as much concentrated fruit character. It has more of like a earthy, dank kind of grassiness. Body's beautiful. This is lower side of full at 8%. Really nice. Has a nice viscosity, but not overblown. The mouthfeel is also spectacular. Has a nice, smooth, creamy sensation while still being mild to moderately carbonated. So body and mouthfeel are really sensational for this beer. The taste It falls flat from the nose, but it's still good. You ever have a beer, and I've had them numerous times on my channel, where it's like, man, the nose is immaculate. It's amazing. Oh my God. And then you taste it and you're like, yeah, it's good, but that nose set me up for disappointment. That's what's happening right here. It's still a really good Hazy Double IPA, but the nose is screaming like upper echelon. The taste, not as much. So this has more of that juicy, kind of pithy citrus fruit right at the tip of the tongue. It's orange, it's tangerine, it's tangelo. But again, it's sweet, it's juicy, and it's pithy all in once. Like all encompassing, almost the entire fruit to some degree, or maybe not all of it, but most of it. After that, I do get a peach, but it's like just underripened. So like not tart, but just like not really that sweet, but like approaching it. In the middle of the palate, the pineapple hits. I'm also getting a little bit of passion fruit, which I did not get in the nose, but pineapple and passion fruit, middle of the palate, really nice. But again, and I know my palate's all over the place, especially over the past like 6 months to a year, where I want more bitterness and more dryness, and I don't want super sweet beers. But in this beer, I almost want a little bit more sweetness, if that makes any sense. Like that crushed pineapple is getting in the nose, and the overripened peach and the juiciness that I was anticipating in the taste didn't really carry over. It's like those fruits, but like maybe slightly underripened. But again, the character itself is nice. It's just a little bit more sweetness. On the finish, however, it has a nice, I'd say, earthy, grassy herbaceousness. It has all three with a little bit of dankness, thrown in for good measure. It does finish bone dry. This isn't sweet to begin with. I'd like a little bit more sweetness, but nice dryness, mild to moderate bitterness. So this is somewhat balanced to some degree, maybe even leaning more towards like the dry side of things, which for hazies you don't anticipate, at least I don't. And when I do get that, I'm super stoked. 8%, I cannot tell outside of that body. That body to me indicates a double or even into the triple range, because it is viscous for an 8% beer. So pros on this one: body and mouthfeel, spectacular, hides the ABV very well, and while maybe not perfectly balanced, it leans more dry than sweet, which I like. The cons are the nose, while being awesome, doesn't follow suit. So the taste is a bit lacking. I want more complexity. I want a little bit more sweetness as a whole. It's just, this is I'd say a very good double IPA, but if the nose carried over the taste, this would be in like that 4 or 5 realm, honestly. I'm going to have to knock it down quite a bit from that. Now, look at the glass lacing. That is absolutely phenomenal glass lacing. You probably don't care. All right, so I took a last sip, and I'm going to give this a rating. So I do think that, for a beer like this, I'm going to give it a pro. I'm not going to knock it down as much as I thought. So I would say if the nose carried over the taste, this is like a 4 or 5 all day. Like, just awesome, right? I'm going to knock it down a little bit more than a quarter point. So Moon Rover from Kettlehead, I'm going to give this we'll go very low, 4.25. We'll go 4.15. I was debating between like a 4.1. Do I give it a high 4 or low 4.25? I'll give it a low 4.25 because of the body and mouthfeel specifically being awesome. It hides the alcohol. It's just, man, I just wanted a little bit more flavor, I guess, as a whole. So, but still really nice. Price point availability, I don't know. Jim gave it to me. I would imagine something like this is in that $18 to $20 4-pack range at the brewery. Maybe like, $5 a can in and around New Hampshire or wherever they get distro. They do get distro here in New York State. I'm sure this showed up. I mean, there's so many beers that show up here now, so I probably missed it. But I've never seen it here, but I do know that I think the FLX boys reviewed this one at some point. I can't remember if they got it from Jim or they bought it themselves. But regardless, I'm pretty sure this is a rotating offering. And then I was going to say availability. I don't really know. I kind of just went over that, and I'm not thinking I went right from price point to availability, but availability, I don't know. Other than New York State, yes. New Hampshire, yes. I think they get into Massachusetts. Outside of that, don't ask me. So yeah, anyway, huge thanks to Jim for this one. The other two I have is a big non-adjuncted Imperial Stout, and I have a barley wine that's barrel-aged that I had multiple pours at the festival, including the first pour of the entire fest was Jim handing me a 5-ounce pour. I think it's like 13% of a barrel-aged barley wine that set me up for not disappointment. Set me up for an absolutely great yet horrible night, because when you start the fest with a beer that big, you're doing it wrong. I did it wrong, definitely. Not the smartest idea, and then getting another pour later, but it was so damn tasty. I can't wait to get in that can. I think it's from 2022, so it's an old-ass can. I can't wait to get into it. So once again, if you've never checked out the Rochester Real Beer Expo, they do it every year in the spring, and I went to the last 3, and it's been awesome every year. This year, a little bit different breweries than the prior years. I think I like prior years breweries in terms of some of the ones coming from out of New York State, but this year they focus a little bit more in New York State. Still a good brewery, or a good festival, and I'll definitely be going back next year, and hopefully the FLX boys join me as well. So anyway, if you've had this beer before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Thanks again to Jim for this beer and all the beers and the hospitality as a whole. He was chatting with us all night, giving us different pours and whatnot, and then he sent us home with a bunch of beer, and that's pretty awesome. That's all I'll say. So if you've never had Kettlehead stuff, you can check them out. Hop forward beers are really good, but they do a good job with like their sour beers, their imperial stouts. They do a lot of fun, tasty beers, and if you're in New York State, you can most likely get them, so check them out. Anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.